Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
We want to make it so intruder can't easily get into a classroom by just breaking a glass and reaching in, unlocking the door.
Summer's coming to an end for Minnesota kids. They'll be heading back to school next week. One thing schools are thinking about is keeping kids safe in the wake of recent mass shootings.
Valley News Team's Callie Hubbard tells us about new added layers of protection in Pelican Rapids, Minnesota.
It's only a matter of days before Viking Elementary School kids will head back to school, meet their teachers, and get their brains back into motion.
Push that, shut the door, and it's locked.
But this time around, they're shielding out the bad guys.
One more step, and the more steps we have between them and any danger, the better.
Amy Schlesky is talking about the new shatterproof film they put on the teachers' windows.
Where they caulk the edges to seal it. Definitely part of the society we live in nowadays. We have to be proactive instead of reactive all the time.
Each of them has a layer of frost.
You don't want to be visible when you're in your classroom if you are in some of those situations.
Keeping the classroom a safe haven as it should be. And the school is thinking outside the box too. So let's say there was an intruder on the outside of the building. Well, all these exterior windows are shatterproof too. Trevor Steves with the Pelican Rapids School District says teachers here also went through active shooter preparation training. A way for staff to learn how to be offensive, not defensive.
If you can get out, get out. And if somebody comes in your room, you fight back, you grab what you can and throw at them.
The district says that they've never had to worry, but they're keeping their fingers crossed and pray that it never happens here. In Pelican Rapids, Minnesota, Callie Hubbard, Valley News Live.
The window filming cost the Pelican Rapids School District $7,000 to install.
Fargo schools are taking precautions of their own when it comes to school safety. They include teacher and student safety in the classroom, as well as outside threats coming into school buildings.
We catch those incidences and we start to look for those inept building relationships that we can start to focus on that. I know a lot of buildings really like to focus on one adult for one kid, and you try to find that one that needs a little extra support. So again, it's all about being proactive and stopping the situation before it happens.
Tonight's discussion also included developing better communication among school staff, students, and law enforcement. To learn more, visit our website, valleynewslive.com, and click on this story.
Authorities have released video of an officer-involved shooting that happened back in February in Grand Forks County. You can see deputies pulling up to a vehicle driven by Travis Holt. Authorities say they noticed right away he had a gun. At one point, they're demanding that he drop the weapon and not point it at them. That's when a deputy fires off one round. Holt was not killed. After being placed on administrative leave, both deputies are now back on duty. Holt was sentenced to 5 years in prison last week.
We now know that the human remains found in South Fargo last week are those of a 32-year-old woman. Police say they believe Brenda Cardis's death is suspicious, and they're treating it as a homicide until their investigation shows otherwise. Cardis disappeared in July of 2018, last seen leaving a Fargo rehab center, and that's been a focus for many online. Brenda's friends and family say they want it to stop, saying Brenda was more than her addiction or any other problem she had.
I remember last week seeing an article that someone was found, and I didn't connect the dots that maybe it could be Brenda, because I think everyone is holding out hopes that she was still alive and, you know, she was somewhere.
I thought she was a good person. Oh, so very caring. She cared about everybody. Very family oriented.
To say that there's any one person that has the key piece of information we're looking for, I think that'd be short-sighted.
Fargo police urge you to contact their tip line if you have any information on this case. That number is 241-5777.
Happy, obviously, that I got mine, but honestly, I would recommend trying to find a different videographer for anyone that's looking. Don't go through the same thing because it's not fair.
They waited nearly a year, but a couple now has their wedding video after our whistleblower story last night.
We spoke with a handful of couples who told us that they were scammed by a Grand Forks wedding videographer. Valley News Team's Joshua Pagero joins us in the studio with an update. Joshua?
Andrea and Mike, Chelsea Steele says she got an email today with the links to her wedding video. She's been waiting since last year to get it, and it also came with an apology. We spoke to her and Savannah Benson after both say they hired Roberts Benda to shoot their special day. Benda's a videographer based in Grand Forks who owned and operated She Said Yes wedding video. Several couples from across North Dakota and Minnesota hired Benda, with some paying upwards of $2,500 for his service. They say he'd show up to collect the final payments, shoot the wedding, and then disappear. Grand Forks police say they even got a complaint. We went to his listed address and were told by his mom that he wasn't home. She also had no comment. In an apology email, Benda told Steele he's going through, quote, anxiety-induced depression.
It's kind of an excuse just because I'm a business owner myself, and not only that, but he was recording and posting other weddings that had happened after mine. So if you're going through something tough, wouldn't you be taking a break from all of it together?
Some of the other couples we spoke to say they haven't received their videos. Savannah Benson of Carrington, North Dakota says she's still waiting on her video and is hoping to hear from Benda soon. Mike?
All right, thanks, Joshua. And again, besides knocking at Benda's listed address, we also called him and messaged him several times to ask him when his customers should be receiving their wedding videos. He has yet to respond to us. If you need help uncovering fraud or corruption in your community, call our whistleblower hotline, 701-237-6576, and leave your tip. A member of our investigative team will get on the case and go to work to expose the truth.
A Minnesota toddler who was denied a potentially life-saving drug for her rare genetic disorder will now get the medicine she needs. In a sudden about-face, the Minnesota Department of Human Services now says it will cover the $2 million drug Zolgensma. The gene therapy drug was approved earlier this year and has captured headlines as the most expensive drug in the world. The reversal comes just in time for Maddie Smith, who needs the drug to treat her spinal muscular atrophy. It's a condition that is usually fatal if untreated in infants. It prevents children from walking, breathing on their own, or even holding their heads up. Until now, the state's medical assistance program had been refusing to approve it.
The Minnesota Department of Health says the number of cases of severe lung disease being investigated as potentially linked to vaping has now increased to 21. The reported increase in cases was originally 4 on the department's website. In the Minnesota cases, patients have been hospitalized for several weeks, some admitted to the intensive care unit. The symptoms described to doctors include shortness of breath, fever, cough, and vomiting and diarrhea. Other symptoms reported by some included headache, dizziness, and chest pain.
A successful fundraiser for some of the littlest fans of the Otter Cove Children's Museum. The kids at Amber's Child Care in Fergus Falls set up their lemonade stand to help get the museum going. They raised $500 for the facility that's set to publicly open in February. So far, the museum has secured about $400,000, but it will take a few more lemonade stands to hit its $500,000 goal. When it's up and running, Otter Cove will be the only children's museum with an indoor play structure within 180 miles. Here's what a Major League Baseball field looks like when it's getting ready to host a college football game. It has taken the grounds crew, which is 12 people, 4 days to prep Target Field for Saturday's game between the NDSU Bison and the Butler Bulldogs. That includes the removal of the pitcher's mound. Thank goodness the rain stayed away. We're told if it hadn't, there was a chance that the field might be too wet and possibly damaged. The game could have then been moved, say, back to Fargo. No worries, though. It's game on.
Speaking of that game, if you're one of 35,000 people expected at Target Field on Saturday, keep these rules in mind. Backpacks, laptop bags, duffel bags, and bags of any side with hard sides not allowed in the ballpark. Sealed bottled water, 32 ounces or less, and soft-sided single juice or milk containers for children are the only outside beverages permitted. These are also no-nos: beach balls, boom boxes, fireworks, flasks, hard-sided coolers, and no firearms are allowed, even with valid conceal and carry permits.
And a reminder to tune in on Saturday at 1:30 for the Farmers Union Insurance Bison Football pregame show. We'll have full 90-minute live show from Target Field, taking you up to kickoff between the Bison and the Butler Bulldogs at 3 on the KVLY and KFYR Bison Football Network.
In national news tonight, police seized a massive weapons arsenal inside a home in Philadelphia.
They recovered dozens of guns, thousands of rounds of ammo, and that's not all. Miguel Almaguer has our story.
The massive stockpile of weapons, 39 guns, more than 2,000 rounds of ammunition, and 8 mostly inactive grenades were hauled away by police. The depot, where investigators say bomb-making materials were also found, discovered in the Philadelphia suburbs. As much armory as it was a home, even veteran officers were shocked by the find.
We found at least a gun in every single room in the house. Some are hidden under furniture, some are in drawers, some are in cabinets.
Responding to a call of a suicidal man,
Says he is armed, possibly multiple guns in the property.
the 72-year-old homeowner, who authorities call an avid weapons collector, was taken in for a mental evaluation. The cache of handguns, rifles, shotguns, and assault rifles, nearly all loaded, are being cataloged.
We're going to get the serial number of every single gun, and we're going to run that serial number.
Tonight, no arrests and no charges, as police say there is also no longer a threat here. An arsenal dismantled in the middle of a quiet suburban neighborhood. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Investigators are still looking into whether any of the guns were illegally modified and verifying ownership, too.
Jeopardy host Alex Trebek is back at work after chemotherapy. The 79-year-old Trebek is taping the new season of Jeopardy just 5 months after announcing he'd been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. The show released this video today. Trebek is saying that he is on the mend, he's in good spirits, and looking forward to his 36th season of Answers and Questions.
Valley